Hello everyone, we are Team 11 and we will be presenting the paper File Bounty Fair Data Exchange, which was published in August 2020. Basically, this paper describes a protocol where a buyer and seller can have a transaction where the seller is selling a file to the buyer, such that the whole process is absolutely private and secure as well as fair. It comprises of both off-chain and on-chain transactions, which we will be telling you about over the course of this presentation. So there are basically two parties, the seller and the buyer. The seller is the owner of the file, and the buyer is the person who's trying to buy the file. Now, we know that the buyer always knows the cryptographic hash of the file, and this will be used later while the seller tries to establish that they actually own the file or not. The buyer puts up a bounty for willingness to buy the file on the blockchain, and the seller can also advertise on the blockchain that they are in possession of a file, and a buyer can approach them then. So the actual file transfer itself is executed off chain so that the file contents are not written on the blockchain, therefore protecting the privacy of the file. So now the question that arises here is, how does the buyer know that the seller is giving him a valid file? This comes from the fact that we use snarks here, which is a form of proof of knowledge. My teammates will be explaining that in more detail later. The file is actually transferred in chunks, and the validity of each chunk is verified before the next chunk can be transferred. Another thing that we know here is that the buyer and seller are going to be rational adversaries which do not trust each other. Moreover, we know that the file transfer protocol is going to be fair since it provides a proportional payoff to the seller as more and more chunks are exchanged. Both parties will be submitting a deposit to the smart contract, which will then be used later in a refunding scheme to make sure that both parties behave honestly. Another very interesting aspect of the paper is that the authors actually prove that honest behavior from both the buyer and seller will form a subgame perfect Nash equilibrium, which means any deviation from honest behavior will lead to a loss of either of them. Once this is established, the authors also extended it into a multi-party scheme where there can be multiple sellers with a buyer buying a certain segment from a different seller. Hence, to conclude here with the introduction, the paper describes a fair exchange protocol which verifies the integrity of the file while preserving its privacy and maintains subgame perfect equilibrium. Now over to my teammates for further details.
And now the background to understand file bounty are blockchain. So the fair data exchange is impossible without a trusted third party. But thanks to invention of permissionless blockchain and smart contract, we propose file bounty, which allows buyer and seller to exchange fairly. There's also game theory. So the protocol is proven. We have a proof that there exists a subgame perfect Nash equilibrium, which means that we consider correct course of action for actors. And this is proven to be a Nash equilibrium. So it is the course that rational actors will take. Now the hash functions, in particular the Merkle-Demgard construction. So the reason we use Merkle-Demgard as hash scheme is because it allows the buyer to verify the file content efficiently during the transmission. We'll talk about it later as to how the hash functions is created using the hash scheme. Buyer also uses BLS scheme, Bonnet-Lin-Sachs signature scheme, in which multiple signatures signed by different private keys are aggregated into a short one so that the smart contract can validate it efficiently. There is a zero-knowledge proof (ZKP) scheme. So to add even more privacy to the protocol, zero-knowledge proofs are used as an extension. In the paper, we extend the file bounty that allows the seller to generate a ZK-SNARK proof to avoid publishing any files to the blockchain. Now coming to the overview of the protocol. In this model, as you can see, the four actors are seller, buyer, smart contract, and semi-trusted third party. Here, we assume the buyer knows the file hash and the seller owns the file. The smart contract helps in the exchange in a trustless way and also handles the disputes between the two parties, that is, the seller and the buyer, in a way that any deviation from the expected participant's behavior would result in negative financial payoff. Now, the semi-trusted third party just helps in the exchange without interfering. It provides the hash value to the buyer. In file bounty, we use the hash value of a file as an identity. We use Merkle construction as a hash scheme, as we talked earlier, where we have a compression function f and a fixed value iv known as initialization vector. We break each file into multiple blocks and feed one block together with the intermediate hash into the compression function, each time. We continue this process iteratively until we receive the final hash. The final hash is exactly the same as the hash of this file. The seller transmits from the last chunk along with intermediate hash. This way, the buyer can check the correctness of the chunk and also the intermediate hash by calculating the final hash, which equals to the hash of the file. Similarly, for every following chunk, we should check the correctness of the previous intermediate hash and check because it has been verified. So the buyer checks the integrity of every file chunk this way. Now getting into the high level functioning of the model. So in setup phase, uh, as we can see, both the sellers and buyers are required to deposit an amount of money according to the price of the file to the smart contract before exchange. Buyer also has to pay the price of the file of interest. Going in file transfer phase, the seller transmits the file of the buyer in the form of chunks. And after verifying the chunk, buyer sends a signed acknowledgement to the seller. Going into the dispute phase, while transmission, any participant may misbehave. Sellers may send wrong chunk or can stop sending halfway. In such cases, buyer should call smart contract to resolve the dispute. And seller should respond before timeout. So timeout is the period before which seller should respond to avoid to resolve the dispute. So in some cases, seller may be enforced to publish the content of the file on blockchain to prove the ownership of file. And in case the buyer misbehaves, the seller can similarly report to the smart contract to resolve the dispute. Finally, after the transmission is done, the seller can claim the money back from the smart contract in payoff phase. So this concludes the 4 phases of file bounty. As discussed before, the 4 main properties of the model are: first, permissionless blockchain that helps in the exchange between seller and buyer. The other two important actors of the model are seller and buyer, which connect through a secure off-chain channel and interacts with the smart contract and also takes part in this file transfer, as discussed before. The last is semi-trusted third party, STTP, which doesn't take part in the exchange and acts as an overall coordinator. Now, before discussing the attacker models, let's discuss some assumptions for the model. We consider the off-chain communication between the seller and buyer secure. We also assume that a semi-trusted third part isn't colluding with the seller. Uh, Now coming to the attacker models. So during transmission, any participant may misbehave, as we discussed before in dispute phase. The seller can blackmail or report the buyer during execution. Seller may send wrong chunk or can stop sending halfway. So such type of cases comes under malicious seller. So similarly, the buyer can resort to unethical practices by refusing to acknowledge a file chunk, reporting the seller dishonestly. Now Anchit will get into the details of the model.
File bounty details. On the right is the pseudocode for file bounty transfer protocol, and on the left are all the notations that are used in this paper. So I will explain the details of the pseudocode in the following slides, but one thing to notice here is that the seller sends the file in the reverse order because of the Merkle-Damgard chaining property. The iterative hash of the compression function has to be done in the reverse order. The file bounty transfer protocol can be broken down into the following 4 phases: setup phase, file transfer phase, dispute phase, and payoff phase. Setup phase. In this, the buyer should accept the initial parameters set by the seller. So the things that the buyer and seller have to agree upon are the file price, the respective deposits, the block size, number of chunks, the number of blocks. So a chunk contains CL number of blocks. Also, to ensure that the protocol terminates, the participants have to respond within 24 hours or the max timeout decided by them, or else they would be considered offline. File transfer phase. So the seller starts by sending a chunk Cn with the intermediate hash HC of n-1 to the buyer. After receiving the chunk, the buyer verifies its hash, which he already knows. So if the hash is correct, B signs an acknowledgement and sends it to the seller. So S continues this protocol by transferring the remaining chunks. Dispute phase. Both buyer and seller can report the misbehavior. So the seller can misbehave in the following way. The seller can interrupt the protocol or send an incorrect file chunk. So in this case, the buyer will report the seller to the smart contract. Now the smart contracts offer two ways to resolve this issue. The first way is to send the chunk to the smart contract and it will verify the hash, or in case the file contains sensitive information, then you'll have to send zk-snarks proof to the smart contract. Misbehavior of the buyer. So B can acknowledge a chunk without having received it. So in this case, the seller will report the buyer to the smart contract and B will have to verify his possession of the chunk by using the above two methods. Now both buyer and seller should prove the possession before the max timeout to the contract, or else they would be considered offline and the protocol would be terminated. Payoff phase. So if both the parties are honest, then what would happen at the end would be that the seller would get his file price and the deposit back, and the buyer would get his file and his deposit back. So this image contains all the possible scenarios which a dispute could lead into it, and the payoff would be decided accordingly. Now moving on to multi-party file exchange. So in case of multi-party file exchange, a file is split into Z segments with a fingerprint, which is list of segment of hashes, so which is basically concatenation of hashes of all the segments. So there are a few assumptions in this case. So buyer is willing to purchase file F for which he knows the fingerprint of the file. All the sellers will share the file chunks at the same price, and each seller will deposit ds upon z amount of deposit per segment. This is how peer-to-peer execution takes place. The seller and buyer agrees on the initial parameter to start a transaction, and each of them deposits their respective shares to the smart contract. Now to initiate the exchange, B is required to prove the willingness of selling a specific chunk of each seller. So this here shows B requesting a particular seller for a particular chunk. Now all the sender sends the chunk to the buyer in descending order. In case of a dispute, it can be handled independently as in case of the single buyer. After receiving all the chunks, B can redeem his deposit from the smart contract and get the file, and all of the sellers would get their respective shares.
Now coming to the security analysis. Before we get started, we must note that a player takes actions to maximize the final economic benefits. An adversary will not perform any actions if the financial return is lower than the payoffs by completing the protocol. So going with the types of attacks, the first is that the seller tries to trade with the buyer without the knowledge of the file. This is infeasible in the first place because the buyer would always obtain a proof of knowledge beforehand. Second is that the seller tries to send the file chunks out of order. In the algorithm explained by Anchit, in such a case, the buyer would simply report it and the seller would risk losing all his deposit. The third being that the seller sends all the chunks except the last one. Again, this is not feasible because the seller would lose his deposit and hence the payoff that he gets will be lesser than what he expects to get if he completes the protocol honestly. The next one is that the seller sends an invalid chunk and then B is forced to acknowledge it in fear of losing his deposit. In such a case, the approach is a little counterintuitive in the fact that the seller can then report the buyer that he has acknowledged an invalid chunk. Then the smart contract will ask B to prove that he has received the chunk, which B will not be able to do, and hence B will lose his deposit. This is something that a rational person would never do, hence this is not feasible. Then the next is that the buyer extorts some amount X from S after the protocol is initiated, and if S fails to pay, then the buyer will report that S is dishonest. In such a case, the seller will lose the deposit if he disagrees with buyer, and in case he surrenders, he will get back the deposit plus the file price minus X. However, the best strategy for B will be to continue blackmailing S, but this means that the seller would risk losing money across each chunk, which is not feasible. Then the last part is that B does not acknowledge the second last chunk and reports that he has not received it and tries to brute force search the last chunk. In such a case, the buyer will lose his deposit and will retain only 2 by n times the file price. Again, this is not feasible. Now, coming to how deposits are decided. This is decided using something called utility functions. So the deposits are decided such that the honest behavior forms a subgame perfect equilibrium. I will be explaining what that means in the next slide. So utility functions can have two extremas. One being that the seller wants the exact opposite of the buyer, which is that the seller wants to send all the chunks except the last one, and the buyer wants except the last one, while the buyer is only interested in the first chunk. In such a case, the deposit of the seller should be high enough that he must send all the chunks. Then the next part is that the buyer wants a completely opposite of the seller, that he is interested only in the first chunk, and after that he doesn't want to continue the transaction. In such a case, the deposit of the buyer must be high enough. Now, coming to what subgame perfect equilibrium is. Now, in order to explain this, let us assume that this whole process is a game where seller and buyer are the players. Now, what and this is something that is called the game tree. Now, how the game tree is formed is that after every adversary makes some decision, how the tree actually splits further. Now, in such a case, we want to show that if the seller and the buyer behave honestly, it would form a subgame perfect equilibrium. Now, what Nash equilibrium is that given that all the players are playing with their strategy, none of them would want to change their strategies in the future, which means they're already having their best strategies. So, what we want to show here is that honest behavior will be the best strategy for both the buyer and the seller. Moving to the next slide, here we actually decide what the how it is the best strategy. Now there will be three kinds of nodes: SK, BK double prime, and BK. Now we know that the buyer will never acknowledge a chunk that he has not received, as it was mentioned a couple of slides back. So that part of the game tree is completely rejected. Now for SK, the seller sends chunk at each state and buyer acknowledges it, which is correct, which gives the final payoff, which gives the highest final payoff. Now we prove backwards using something called backward induction that this will always be true. Let us consider the node BK double prime, that the seller did not send the kth chunk and the buyer will always choose to report, as we know. Now in such a case, the final utility of the seller in honest behavior will give the players both the highest payoff, which is our induction hypothesis. Now in such a case, if the deposit is at least the file price, then the file price plus the deposit will be greater than equal to kn times the file price plus the cost of transfer for the seller. Now this which is given in this equation here. Now the right hand side is maximized when k equals n, and we also know that by definition in the first place, which Anchit had explained earlier, that the file price will always be greater than the cost of file transfer. Otherwise, the transaction will not take place at all. Hence, we know here that the deposit must always be greater than equal to the file price for the node BK double prime. Then the next is when we encounter the node BK prime, that the seller has sent the kth chunk and now the buyer can either acknowledge it or report it. In such a case, the payoff will be this, the one given in this equation. Now, if we take that the deposit of the buyer is greater than equal to the file price, then at each node BK prime, the buyer will have to play honestly, because the file value plus deposit of the buyer will always be must be greater than equal to n minus k by n times the file price plus the utility function times the file value for any and all k. Hence, this will always be true. So if the buyer's deposit is also always greater than equal to FP, he will be forced to always make the honest decision. Now, coming to the next part, that if any of the parties try to blackmail the other or ask to collaborate with them, he will make the other party lose his deposit. Hence, the other party can ignore this kind of threat, since the other party will know that the blackmailing party is also rational and the threat will never be realized. Now, at max, one chunk of the file may be displayed on the blockchain in case of a dispute. This can in principle be exploited by malicious buyers to reveal the file chunk by chunk, but they would be losing their deposit after every chunk, and this is not a rational way to go about it. Now, coming to secure multi-party exchange, there is a simple extension to this, that there will be a deposit for every segment, and the selling cost of a segment must not be larger than the seller's deposit for a segment. However, for a value concentrated file in which a chunk may be more important than any other chunk, the single segment selling cost may vary anything from 0 up to the file price. Hence, the seller deposit should be increased to z times the file price, where z is the number of segments, in order to preserve all the security properties in every exchanging thread. That is it for the security protocols. Now Anchit will explain in detail about the implementation.
Talking about implementation and evaluation of file bounty. File bounty is a symbiosis of an off and on chain component. The off chain component is responsible for the actual file transfer. It is implemented as a browser application which is written in TypeScript with about 7500 lines of code. And the on chain component is the smart contract which serves as dispute mediation. It is written in Solidity with 728 lines of code. In order to exchange the files, the buyer and the seller first needs to establish a WebRTC connection. And once the connection is established, the protocol as described in algorithm 1 is executed. It is important for both the clients to be synchronized with the blockchain. SHA-256 is used as the cryptographic compression function instead of SHA-1 because of its weakness, and it is implemented in such a way that the Merkle-Damgard construction can be executed on individual file. ZK-SNARK contract is also implemented for the privacy-preserving possession verification, as one can prove possession of a certain information without revealing the information and without any interaction between the prover and the verifier. Now, talking about different costs associated with file bounty. On-chain cost. So if there is no dispute, then starting from a sale to purchase of file, all this costs about 170,000 gas, which is about 9 cents at a price of 3 gigabytes. And the most expensive transaction is to resolve a dispute by verifying the possession of 64 bytes block. So file bounty offers two schemes to resolve disputes. First one is SHA-256, which costs about 22 cents, and the second is ZK-SNARK scheme, which costs about $1. So depending on the type of file, either of scheme is used. And in peer-to-peer setting, verifying a BLS signature costs about 23 cents. The estimated file bounties throughput is 432,000 peer-to-peer downloads per day. Now the off-chain cost. So transmitting a file of n chunks require n rounds of interaction between the seller and buyer. So for example, to transmit 256 MB file in chunks of 256 kilobyte needs 1024 rounds of interaction, but this could be reduced to 512 if we use a chunk size of 512 kilobyte without increasing any on-chain cost. This is zero knowledge proof cost. So a ZK-SNARK proof has a constant size of 2294 bits, which costs about 1.6 seconds on a virtual machine with 16 2 GHz CPU.
To sum up the whole paper, in conclusion, we can say that file bounty is an efficient, practical protocol where the seller can sell a file to any buyer, where the buyer will know the cryptographic hash of the file. We have also proven that the honest behavior from both the parties will lead to a subgame perfect equilibrium, which means that the buyer and the seller will get the maximum economic benefit only if they behave honestly. Moreover, because of the presence of a smart contract, which is an impartial body, any disputes that arise are automatically mediated. There are very few on-chain transactions for honest behavior, which is 3, and there can be a maximum of additional 2 in case of dishonest behavior. The actual file transfer itself occurs off-chain between the two parties. All the dispute mediation happens on the chain, and at max only one chunk of the chain of the file can be displayed on the chain. Moreover, the buyer will always keep track of the integrity of the file and hence will never be cheated by the seller. Similarly, the buyer cannot cheat the seller into giving him the file without paying all the money that is required. Thank you everyone for listening. We are Team 11 signing off.